1 million. Do you think Lexus will be able to sell that many EVs by 2030? They say they're on track despite only selling about 2,000 so far here in 2023 with the RZ. But we have news coming out of Japan today that sheds a little bit more light on their plan, their strategy in order to electrify their lineup. Let's get into it. Heading on over to the Lexus press room, Lexus announces direction for car manufacturing through diversification and electrification, aiming to provide new value to customers. If you're ready for a better battery electric vehicle than the Lexus RZ, to hit the lineup, smash the heck out of the like button. And speaking of luxury EVs, I'm actually test driving and reviewing the Audi Q8 e-tron, the updated 2024 model with more range, better efficiency. So make sure to stay tuned for that. So if I can recommend it maybe over the RZ or maybe even the Genesis, so stay tuned for that review. But what are they saying out of Japan? Well, here are the bullet points and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. Unveiling for the first time in Japan a model lineup that aims to provide new value in line with diversifying needs of customers. So just because they want to be battery electric and will be battery electric for their major markets by 2030 doesn't mean they're going to be not offering good hybrid powertrains and other powertrains as well. Now, they also have this ROV concept, which I'll show when I'm in Japan. It's this little four-wheeler. It's based off of a Yamaha, and it runs off of hydrogen. It's a 3-cylinder, about 998 cc's, and it only gets around 15 miles of range or so. So it's totally just a toy at this point. But we'll see how this evolves in the future. Don't know why it's branded as a Lexus, though. Now, I will show you guys the new LM based off of the new Alphard, which neither of those vans are offered in North America, but I will be showing that when I go to Japan next month. I'll also show you guys the new LBX, which I'm really upset about because it looks amazing. We're not going to be getting that in the United States, but I will show you what it's like when I head to Japan, hopefully, and get my hands on it. The new GX, of course, the new TX for our market, that doesn't really come as a surprise at what they're working on. So here's a big takeaway out of this majorly fluff article here. It is going into this electrification paragraph, a lot of it about sustainability, all that fun stuff. Not really, but recycled materials are a part of that. Hopefully they can make them luxurious instead of some of the recycled materials we've seen in the past with, like, say, like the HS had recycled materials and that thing was cheap. Anyways, in 2026, we will introduce next generation battery EV. We already know that, and that will revolutionize the modular structure of the car body, which I just highlighted yesterday. They will be able to gigacast 3 major portions of the body, the battery pack area, the front, and the rear of the vehicle. So you have 3 major castings. Anyways, they're also using essentially remote control of these vehicles through the assembly line so that you don't need a conveyor belt anymore. And they're saying this concept model of this new BEV platform will be unveiled at the Japan Mobility Show 2023, opening next month. I will be there. Me and David Chow from Automotive Press, we will be heading to Japan to give you guys our best hands-on coverage of these products. Now, just keep in mind, I hear it's going to be crazy there. And how would they do these press conferences and reveals? It's not like how it's done in America where I'm going to have one-on-one time with these cars. It's essentially a madhouse where you have 4,000 or 5,000 journalists at these reveals that just crowd the cars after the press conference. So don't think that I'll be able to get inside of these vehicles or be able to give you guys a clutter-free walk around. Maybe I can show you the chaos, and maybe that's what you guys would be excited about instead of this pretty manufactured one-on-one time with the car. Instead, it's going to be like me probably throwing elbows, getting kicked out. No, I'm not going to get kicked out of the Japan Mobility Show, but I'll do my best to elbow my way in to get close to these cars to give you guys my impressions as best as possible. But now we'll know a lot more about this EV concept, the software that's in there, and maybe some specs about range and maybe power. But here's what you can expect from this new product on this new platform coming in 2026, that this concept will be either a forebearer of or a very close representation of what the actual final product will be. So here it is. 2026 will introduce 2 new battery types. One is for mass production of all EVs, which It's not going to be this flagship Lexus that we're showing. And that's lithium iron phosphate bipolar. That's going to be in your run-of-the-mill Toyota vehicles and probably some Lexus models as well on the lower priced ones. But what's going to be in this model, this flagship BEV coming out in 2026, is absolutely this performance battery. It's a prismatic style, which they like using with Prime Planet Energy and Solutions, aka their joint venture with Panasonic. It is a monopolar structure, so typical of what we see right now. And it is nickel, cobalt, manganese, the same sort of chemistry we currently see. However, they're saying the range is 200% of what we see with the BZ4X. So the BZ4X, aka Lexus RZ, get around 220 to 250 miles of range. We could be seeing 450 to 500 miles of range here on this product, guys. So that is an absolute possibility. 500 miles of EPA estimated range on this product coming from Lexus in 2026. But it also will charge faster than what we currently have with other Lexus products. So expect it to go up to at least an 800 volt architecture with 10 to 80% charging in just 20 minutes. And then solid state batteries will come down the line in this new modular platform in the future. But this is what you have to look forward to with the launch here in 2026. Up to 500 miles of range and quick charging. There's this other article at Automotive News by Hans Greimel. He is their, I guess you could say, Asian automotive reporter, and he lives in Japan, and he was able to attend this Lexus kind of preview of the future that the first article talked about. And he was able to talk to Takashi Watanabe, the new CEO of Lexus. Previously, it was Koji Sato, who was also previously the chief engineer of Lexus, who also created the LC500. But now Koji Sato is CEO of Toyota Motor as a whole. And so Watanabe is filling in the footsteps, or you say the shoes, of Koji Sato over at Lexus going forward. Watanabe said in 2026 we'll introduce the next gen battery EV that re-innovates the vehicle modular structure, significantly alters our production methods, and completely reimagines the software platform. We have also prioritized vehicle design to embody the essence of Lexus. And I think that's one of the big things for me, at least with the concepts they've shown. I'll put them on the screen for you guys. Their concepts for this next generation BEV look insane. Now, the new IS will probably be out, as well as the TZ will be out on the ET and GA platform. So there'll be a little bit of 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future. They will not have the new Lexus software, the Arene software, you could say. So it'll be just a better version of the RZ in a different shape. That's kind of how I see it. I think it'll have updated, more efficient motors, maybe slightly different battery capacity as well, and the new IS, BEV, and TZ 3-row crossover EV. Anyways, the designs across the board for these vehicles look insane. And in the past, they've said these next generation designs are just not capable on their current platform. They have to switch to a new platform in order to get them lower to the ground, to reduce the battery thickness. Let's get into performance EVs. What is like? I think there's a pretty big announcement here that I'm not sure we had 100%, but let's get into what it is. Well, essentially what this paragraph is saying, well, we have the new LFA replacement coming, and it's not the LFR, which is going to be twin turbo V8 hybrid, likely that is coming maybe by the end of next year or the year after, by 2025 at the latest. But that's not this BEV flagship that we're talking about. That is more of a true successor of the LFA. And that will surely have solid state batteries. But it looks like we have confirmation here, which is probably more exciting to the majority of us, because the LFA successor is just not going to be affordable, in my opinion, to the masses. It's probably going to be $200,000-$300,000, if not more. What this is giving us excitement for is all electric performance models. So don't expect an F coming for the RZ. I think they should have an RZ 550E or 600E F Sport Performance, but an RZ F, don't expect that coming. They could do it if they wanted to, but I don't think they would be able to do it up to their standards for it to be a true F car. In order for it to be a true F car, it needs to have competitive performance. But if they came with an RCF and the current platform and the limitations of it, and it's beat by an EV6 GT, they just wouldn't leave themselves to that sort of self-destruction, I don't think. So I think we have to wait for the next gen EVs for them to have satisfactory F performance levels, which I'm okay with. Do it right, get it right, and then bring it to the market. They are still working on electric stick shift technology, and I think that will bring some excitement to these F models as well if they, actually bring it to the market. And it is completely optional. You can just leave it in purely automatic where, it's just seamless acceleration. I'm sure there's a step in between that and the manual where it feels like it's automatically shifting through gears. And then you'll have a clutch pedal, which is crazy talking about an EV, but that's what they want to play with here, maybe in their full-blown F models, to give people some sort of connection with the car where you typically can't get in a battery electric vehicle and can only be seen in internal combustion. So they want to incorporate that in their F cars, probably to help them stand apart as well, make them more engaging, more fun. Watanabe says they still don't really know where they're going to manufacture all these Lexus EVs. So that's a plan that's currently in the making. And I think a big part of that is the EV incentives going on in the United States. They got flipped upside down within the past year. And pretty much you have to make all of your EVs and source your battery components here in North America. So I think that's a part of why they don't know where they're going to make all their EVs. But you can rest assured that more than likely, 100% sure that the TZ 3-row EV crossover will be made here in North America, likely at the Kentucky plant alongside the 3-row BZ5X. You can probably also bank on, since the ES is going back over to Japan, that the IS EV will be built here in North America in the Lexus assembly line at Kentucky, where the ES will leave here in the next few years. It just makes a lot of sense to me in order for these vehicles to qualify for the EV tax credit, in order for also Toyota and Lexus to qualify for tax breaks on their end as well. Look for the flagship EVs like an LS EV, if they ever have one, an LC, like a high-end coupe. All the high-end coupes more than likely will be manufactured as EVs over in Japan and not qualify for the EV tax credit. But they'll likely be too expensive anyways to qualify for the $55,000 EV tax credit limitation. But if you lease them, you still might be able to actually take advantage of it with the leasing loophole. Anyways, that's a long ways down the road. Where do you think Lexus will manufacture those models? I think 2 or 3 of them will absolutely be made here stateside, if not more, by 2030. But it all comes down to, can they use that second generation battery technology, or should I say second generation BEV modular platform with gigacasting? They got to bring it here to the States. They can't just leave it over in Japan. Because that helps reduce the cost and improve the efficiency of these cars. Absolutely. So that has to come to the United States eventually, but it might not come here till 2028, something like that, or later, because these second generation BEVs will surely be coming from Japan in 2026. Anyways, Watanabe is saying the key is commoditizing the hardware as much as possible to drive down the cost to compete with the likes of Tesla and China's BYD. Yes, they are the leaders in terms of efficiency, low cost production, due to the simplicity they've built into their parts and sharing of the parts between vehicles, and also reducing the amount of steps needed to build said vehicles. Watanabe says we need to make it easier to build and simplify as much as possible. And he also says it's important to humbly look at and learn from Tesla's achievements. One of our first steps will be modifying and rethinking our production models, which we'll see that in 2026. In terms of standing out from the EV crowd, Watanabe sees this as an issue, is that, all EV powertrains will drive roughly the same unless you put a manual simulation in there. But anyways, he says we need to be more unique. We need to define that. If we rely only on product alone, we probably can't get as far as we need to. We need to offer more. After the customer has bought the product, what other kind of experiences are possible? Well, that doesn't sound very exciting to me, because that sounds like paid for updates or paid for services. But if those paid for services are autonomous driving, hey, people have shown through Tesla Autopilot that people are willing to spend a lot of money on having that excellent self-driving, use that lightly, but self-driving technology to make your life easier. So I think that will be a part of it. But what other experiences? I mean, use your imagination. What would you like to be paying for as a subscription in your Lexus in the future? Over-the-air updates, in my opinion, should be standard. But maybe they could do something like Polestar does, is where you could pay for extra performance. I think that is nice, because here's the thing. Yes, it's a bit getting screwed over maybe on the initial purchase, but let's say you buy an EV 5 years from now, a Lexus EV, and it comes with 300 horsepower, but the motors are capable of 400 horsepower in an F-Sport performance model, but it just doesn't have all the, the fancy F-Sport cladding and F-Sport interiors and F-Sport performance model. And let's say, initially you don't need that extra power, and then maybe a few years down the road, instead of buying a whole new car, you can be like, okay, well, I'm going to spend $2-3 grand to unlock the performance. And how cool would it be if Lexus was like, hey, we're doing a sale on the performance upgrade. So maybe 25% off from December to January, you get 25% off on the performance upgrade that's upgraded through software. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of you guys might not like that idea, but it makes sense for me. And it'd be something that I could save money up front and then unlock that performance down the road when I get a little bored of the car or just want something different to play with. You could also use that upgrade as a monthly charge as well. If you have a base 300 horsepower model, and you could do a monthly subscription of, let's say, $20-$30 a month, where it unlocks the extra 100 horsepower. That way you're not punished for upgrading and maybe never using it, but it's nice to use it by a trial. Maybe something like that. Lots of ideas. I'm sure you guys can think of some things down below. But I'm going to transition over to a little bit of Toyota. I'm going to play this video for you guys. They've made a massive breakthrough on robotics and robotics learning new skills, which is absolutely insane. It's a little bit scary. We're one step closer to Terminator, one step closer to iRobot. What I see what's going on. And, maybe that helps build cars faster and cheaper, since you don't need man labor at that point. But yeah, I mean, maybe in my lifetime, I'll be able to see cars that are assembled without using any human hands, at least not in the actual assembly, but the human hands Toyota wants to have to teach these robots. Not that dissimilar as me teaching my kids how to do something. So yeah, it's kind of interesting what's going on here. It's a bit scary, but I'm going to keep moving on. And Toyota announces 500 fuel cell Mirai in the official fleet for the Olympic and Paralympic Games in Paris coming next year. Seems like we just had the Tokyo Summer Olympics, which was delayed a year, but yeah, it'll be coming next year, and they'll have the Mirai there. So don't expect any updates on the Mirai, since they're essentially saying, hey, next year we're going to have the Mirai. But since they already have press images here with how the car is going to look, I don't think that the car doesn't need a refresh in any way. I think it's gorgeous. It's a kind of a timeless design. But anyways, I'm going to shut it down there. Are you excited for Lexus's future as it changes into a battery electric provider? Now, you got to keep in mind, fully battery electric by 2035, but that's globally. Here in North America, most of Europe and China, they'll be fully battery electric by 2030. So the clock's ticking. It's almost 2024, and their current EV it's a good car. It's just limited by the range, I would say. That's its biggest downfall on that car. But I'll see you guys down below. A lot of stuff to talk about here about the future of Lexus. Are you excited about it? Are you nervous? Do you just want Lexus hybrid and plug-in hybrids forever? I can see that as well, because but when 2030 comes around, if you don't have those options anymore and you don't want to be EV, that kind of sucks. You're going to have to either buy an older Lexus or go down to a Toyota or buy something different. But I'm going to shut down there. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves, and peace.